And welcome back to another Cannabis Thought Leaders podcast. This is Abe Cohn with THC Legal Group, and today we have Khadijah with us. Khadijah, welcome. How are you?
I am amazing, Abe. How are you?
Good. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in the industry? What are you currently doing? Let us get to know you a little bit better.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me and having me on as your guest. I really appreciate that. Well, I'll start off with my story, if you will. My name is Khadijah Adams. I am the founder and senior managing partner for Marijuana Investment and Private Retreat, also known as MIPR Holdings. We are a professional consulting company with a specialization in investor relations. We're located in Aurora, Colorado. I'm originally from Sugar Land, Texas, and I moved to Colorado during the Green Rush in 2014 when Colorado first legalized recreational cannabis. At the time, I moved here with my husband at the time, and he had began investing in marijuana stocks, and that just piqued my interest. And I began to do some research and, connected with some of the right people and, kind of followed their lead, if you will, or, better yet, I was a student and I watched, what they were doing, and eventually ended up investing in a variety of cannabis-related companies that trade publicly in the OTC market, and not really just in the OTC market. There's some that's on other exchanges as well. And then I became, I got really interested in the community and the medical patients and communities of color that's, been most affected by the war on drugs. Wanted to re-educate our communities with the truth about cannabis, as well as the economic benefits of getting positioned in the industry early on.
Okay. So what does your company currently do, specifically? What kind of services does it offer, and what kind of clients do you have?
Sure. Yes. So the types of services that we offer, we have an affiliate agreement with a company called Breakaway Funding out of California. And for our small to mid-sized companies that seeking funding, they assist them with capital raise support services. Now, for accredited investors or investors seeking to invest in the cannabis industry, many of them have retained our services more like an assistant type of situation or consultant type situation where, maybe they're looking for certain investments and they really don't want to be seen in the public eye. They don't want to go to the conferences and things of that nature. And they just have a checklist, for me to gather information about particular companies that they have, identified. And I gather the information for these investors and get that to them, connect them with a broker who can help them when they make a decision on investing. And so far, I've been successfully able to connect investors with a little over $4 million in either investments or business development in the industry. So I'm really excited.
Wow, that's fantastic. Many of our listeners are entrepreneurs, starting companies, just kind of getting into the business. What does a typical Monday look like for you? You wake up, and what does Monday look like?
Well, the old saying, a typical Monday. I like Mondays because Mondays are the beginning of the new week, and you get to start over. But a typical Monday would be a lot of telephone calls, follow-ups from the networking events that I attended the week before, emails, and, then you have others that's calling you to follow up as well. And then, I get a lot of pitch decks and PPMs and business plans. So going through those, it's a great Monday, but it's a busy Monday. You want to wrap up from the weekend and so on and so forth. And so you're kind of putting out fires too, because now we have 8 more states on board, which means now we have more clients, in different states that, have just, legalized. And they're ready to roll out in the next, few months, 3 to 6 months.
Okay, very interesting. one of the challenges I think many entrepreneurs and startup companies face is they don't really know, how to get started. They want to become involved in the industry somehow. They think it's a great opportunity, but they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice would you give these companies? How should people think about being a part of the community if they really are just at the beginning stages?
Well, if they have already established their company, and let me just start off by saying that I'm not a financial advisor or a broker or anything like that, so I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to give any type of legal advice. I can tell you what I did.
Okay.
When I first came to Colorado, I really did not know where I would fit in. I knew I wanted to get involved in the industry. I knew I wanted to get positioned in some capacity. And I met with two young ladies, a young lady by the name of Dawn Blackman and Addison. I always miss Addison's last name. She's going to kill me. But I decided to meet with them, and they said, start with the community. Get into the community. Find out what's going on over at City Hall within the industry. Get connected with a lot of the networking events and meetups and things of that nature, and get out there and shake hands and introduce yourself. And that's what I began to do. And I met medical patients, veterans, politicians, cannabis industry leaders. And you want to get out there and meet people and shake their hands, because one thing I know for sure is that people do business with people they like and people they know. And so that's a good way to really get out there and see what's out there, and then find out what the need is. And it's not so much about, hey, I want to make a lot of money, because when I first came, of course, it was all over the news, the green rush, people were making millions. So yeah, of course, your mind flips to the money side. But when you get into the community and you meet the medical patients and the veterans and the politicians and the activists and the people who really laid the foundation for the legalization of this industry, you develop I developed a different desire. And my desire was now to find out, how do I add value, to the industry. And so that's really important, to find out what the community needs.
Wonderful advice. So, kind of get in on the ground level, figure out both what you can contribute and what the community needs you to contribute, and just kind of get your face in the game, let people know you, recognize you, and get involved in as most organic of a way as possible.
Absolutely, and read as much information, all the articles, and subscribe to the Marijuana Daily and the MJIC index and all that. Subscribe to all that stuff, because that's where we're getting the information from, and make sure that we're staying abreast. Join the Cannabis Consumer Coalition so that you can stay abreast on the consumer side of things as well, because that's going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to get more into some of the mechanics of marketing and social media in a little bit. But, I just want to get to know you and kind of your interest in the community a little bit better. What do you think it is about the community that you love so much? Of course, it's a great opportunity, as you mentioned, but what compels you to kind of wake up every Monday, be an entrepreneur, and just kind of get after it?
Being able to watch the industry unfold in just a short period of time, there's many pioneers and activists who's been at this longer than me. But since 2014, I've been able to see the industry go from one extreme to the next. And, what's interesting to me and what wakes me up in the morning is the fact that there's more people out there that's waking up. You see, they're reading now, and we're re-educating people of color and minorities and people most affected by the war on drugs. We're re-educating them with the truth about cannabis. And then, when I wake up and I get emails that, I'm really scared about getting into the industry, I love those emails, because that's another person now that I can get on the phone and I can really help to re-educate them with the truth about cannabis. So I'm really passionate about that, especially re-educating the religious leaders in the community, because I believe that's where, that's the only thing we have not done in this industry, if you think about it, is to bring that piece of the puzzle into the equation.
So do you find that the religious communities, and I'm not sure if you're speaking specifically about one religious denomination or another, but do you find that there's still kind of a disconnect between, people at the pulpit and even those in the audience, as part of the congregation and the industry as a whole? Has the religious right pushed back against cannabis use, do you think?
Well, I believe that, again, I go back to re-educating because, the human beings, if you will, the religious leaders that are in the pulpit, whether they are, and of course it's not called a pulpit in Jewish terms, but the religious leaders must be re-educated, okay, with the truth, and using their own scripture and their own text, mind you, because cannabis is mentioned. And so I believe with the re-education of the religious leaders, it is up to them now, once they learn the truth, once they do the research for themselves, it's now up to them to re-educate their congregation, because they're held accountable once they learn the truth. And so starting there, to answer your question, yes, there's a disconnect, and that's why it's so important to re-educate every religious leader, whether it be Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, which are the three largest religions in America right now. So re-educating every community, starting with the religious leaders, in my opinion, is very powerful and could very well lead, in my opinion, to federal legalizations, to the assistance in the federal legalization process.
Yeah, well, I think it's very interesting to speak about the, quote, the truth and re-education. So what is the truth about cannabis in your mind? Is it a constitutional right truth? Is it a medical truth? Is it an individual liberty truth? What is the truth?
Well, the truth is cannabis has existed long before human beings. Okay, so and since we're getting into spirituality and religion, it's found in Genesis. It's found in Genesis 1:12, and then it's found in Genesis 1, drop down to 29, verse 29 and 30, and then you go to Exodus 30:22, where Moses is ordered to include it as one of the herbs in prayer oil.
Really?
So yeah, and so when I say the truth, I mean go into the scripture. Don't just go into there's so many different translations of the Bible. There's so many different translations of even the Torah now, from what I hear. And so we have to do our research and find out where did cannabis come from? I mean, it's a plant that grows from the earth, that comes from a seed. And if you read Genesis 1:12 and drop down to 29 and 30, God himself said that he saw that it was good. So in my mind, the truth is, as human beings, who are we to say that it's not, when he has said that it is? And even if you're not religious, most people are spiritual, and they're not going to go against the universe, see, when they are spiritual, and so doing research for yourself. And I tell people all the time, don't believe me, go do the research for yourself and find out that cannabis has been in our existence since prior to human beings. And then when we came on the scene, we've always used it for medicine. We've always used it for not just medicine. We've also used it for religious purposes, for communication and spiritual purposes.
So are you and your group kind of behind a full... of course, you feel very passionately, as I certainly do, and I think all of our listeners do, about the legalization of cannabis, certainly medicinally and I'm sure recreationally too. Do you feel the same way about restricting government intervention for other drugs as well, or is your focus predominantly on cannabis?
It is predominantly on cannabis because, cannabis I'm very familiar with. I've been a consumer of cannabis for about 37 years now, and cannabis has helped me on a medical basis, but it's also helped me just to deal with what's going on in this world today. I mean, if you really think about it, there's people depressed in this world right now just based on what's going on in this world. And, cannabis is a plant, and re-educating people about cannabis and having the freedom to say, no, I don't want an opiate. I don't want to take Tylenol. Or, as a human being, in the United States of America, as an American citizen, I have the right. And since the majority of the United States of America, the majority of the citizens have agreed that cannabis should be legalized federally, we are the people. And as the people, we make the rules. We make the laws. It is up to the people we put in government to enforce those laws, not tell us what we can and cannot do with a plant that grows from the earth.
Okay, so kind of the push there is really to make sure that we're enforcing democratic principles of governance for the people, by the people.
That's right.
I think that's very powerful. Okay.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, we are the people.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back into kind of the mechanics of successfully running a business. I know you deal with a lot of different cannabis companies. You know, people love to talk about branding and social media and getting their name out there. What kind of social media efforts do you employ, and which ones would you recommend for new startups and entrepreneurs getting into the game?
Wow. Well, now's the time for me to plug in my team, because my team really, has done a phenomenal job with getting us out there and, on social media with Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and, even with blogging and things of that nature. I really let them, do all of that stuff. But let's say you don't have a team and you're starting grassroots, and this is something that you're starting, yourself because, you have a limited budget or whatever, you're bootstrapping it. Then start with the basics. Start with, with the grassroots efforts, and that's getting to these networking events. That's right after the networking events, follow up, and then establish yourself on Facebook, a professional profile, on LinkedIn, a professional profile, communicate with people, respond to those likes, not just say, hey, I got 125 likes. Well, do something with the likes. Reach out to them via instant messaging and reintroduce yourself and thank you for liking my post and how can I be of service, and start communication, because the key to building a company, especially from the grassroots level, is establishing relationships and to keep those relationships, going, and to also understand that you're not going to win them all. You're going to lose a lot of people. You're going to lose a lot of friends. You're going to lose a lot of associates. Some people will want you to not pass them, and some people will just not understand where you're coming from. They're going to think you're crazy. And my advice to you is to keep going. It's not, because it's not your business what they think or believe, but it is up to you to focus on your dreams and what you intend on doing in this industry and the service that you intend on providing.
Okay, excellent advice. Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. I wanted to kind of get your impression on Twitter specifically. Has your team found a lot of success? We mentioned liking and of course you're thanking someone for liking, but do you feel that you're converting customers on Twitter? Is it something that's really worth investing in? Should it be front and center for a new startup's marketing efforts, or is it something that they just need to do without too great of an expectation for generating business from it?
My marketing team is iBoss. And I also work with a company here in Colorado called Nerve. And I have to say, according to our analytics, the majority of our business, believe it or not, comes through Facebook.
Really?
And not Twitter. Yep, it comes through Facebook. And in fact, my very first I host private retreats for accredited investors. And these are private investors who can't be seen in the cannabis industry. They're professional celebrities. They're, just a multitude of high net worth individuals. And they like to come to the private retreats and literally just be private and not seen, and have the ability to get the information that they need to get, at these retreats. I know I'm kind of going off topic here, but providing, that type of service to people who can't be seen in the industry, I think is phenomenal.
Wow. Okay. I think that's excellent advice. So really what someone should think about doing is not only kind of the standard social media efforts, but as you said, trying to engage people in an unorthodox way that they really do desire.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, when I first started with the private retreats, I posted on Facebook and I said, let me just see. And this was even before naming my company.
Uh-huh.
I said, let me see if anybody would be interested in this. And I posted on Facebook, you know, if I hosted a private retreat where no one would know that you're interested in the industry, blah, 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 blah. And let me tell you something, in 18 hours, I sold out. And
Wow.
that's where, and I said, you know what? Okay, so there's a need for this. People are still in the closet with cannabis. Some people are teachers and doctors and lawyers. They don't want to come to a cannabis event and run into one of the parents,
Yeah.
you know, because of the stigma of cannabis and the fact that, you know, they don't have the information they need in order to make that call, or they're working for a company that could very well fire them if they hear they attended an event.
Yeah. Wow. Excellent, excellent advice. Um, well, look, we're wrapping up here. I think we covered a lot of interesting issues, kind of the impetus behind your personal motivation to be a part of the industry, some more abstract reasons for being a part of the industry, and why it's so important for a democratic society. And then, of course, we touched on some social media efforts. What kind of message would you like to leave the audience with? What should people know about you, about your company, and of course, about the industry in general?
Absolutely. Well, you know, if you're out there as an entrepreneur or as a startup, you know, if you're looking for professional connecting within the industry as well as consulting services to help you optimize and leverage and even cultivate growth and business development in your company within the industry, then, you know, visit us on our website and schedule a consultation. I've partnered with some incredible people over the last few months who are in the industry. So we have an abundance of help. It's not just me. So through my array of connections in the cannabis industry, I'm able to successfully help connect clients with business and investment opportunities, and also to alternative loans and other funding sources to help expand or even launch their small to mid-sized business. I'd like to encourage everyone who's listening, everyone with an idea. You know, we all have ideas, and the difference in you and another person, or me and another person having an idea, is being able to put legs to that idea and make that idea walk. And then make it run no matter what, and never ever give up. Never allow someone to tell you to change your business model. Listen, my business model has successfully closed almost 7 deals in January, and here we are on the 20th, not even at the end of the month yet.
Wow.
Okay, the first month of the year. So please never let anyone tell you what you can and cannot do. You will make mistakes. Prepare yourself for them. It's not what happens to you. It's how you handle it when it happens, and just keep going, and you'll get there.
Wow, excellent advice. So, just persevere and keep plugging along, and it will happen. How can people connect with you directly? So, just once again, what's your website, and then if you want to give out your email address or perhaps some of your social media handles, I'm sure the audience would love to have that information.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. www.miprholdings.com, and that's M as in marijuana, I as in investment, P as in private, R as in retreat, MIPRholdings.com. And our handle on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and there's another one out there, but it's MIPR Holdings, and look us up there. And also check out the Cannabis Cultural Association. I sit on the advisory board of the Cannabis Cultural Association, as well as the executive committee of the Minority Business Council of the NCIA. And those are some really powerful organizations. If there's a lot of women entrepreneurs out there, there's several organizations out there that will help to empower women, women above ground, out of California, and there's a local branch here or chapter here in Colorado. There's also Women Grow. Women Grow is out there as well, and then there's Women of Weed. Get connected and stay connected, and expand your network.
Wow. Okay, well, this was truly a wonderful experience for me, and I'm sure many of our audience members and startup and entrepreneurs tuning in will gain just so much from this. Thank you so much. We'd love to have you on again.
You're welcome, and thank you. And hey, let me give you my number. It's 855-727-6477. So it's 1-855-727-6477. And this is Khadijah Adams. Thank you so much, Abe. I really appreciate you having me on. This has been fun.
What a pleasure. Okay, well, another Cannabis Thought Leaders podcast. This is Abe Cohn with THC Legal Group. Until next time.